Hey guys, Eziel here, and I have a short devlog for you guys. This is just a brief showcase at the deck building scene that I've been struggling to get the programming done for, and it's this scene here. This scene that you're looking at is where you build your deck out for your cards, and I've been trying to get the card descriptions done for these for a long time. Like as far as getting the description to show up here when you scroll through the cards. And so now that I finally have this licked, I can make some serious progress with this project here. And how this game works with the card system, it's heavily inspired by Mega Man Battle Network and Mega Man Star Force. The gameplay of Zola's Nightmares, it's kind of like a cross between those two games. It leans more towards Star Force, even though I say Mega Man Battle Network a lot. And this the card system is very simple. In battle, your cards always recycle, so you never run out. But uh, the frequency of how often they appear when you're battling is determined by how many copies of a card you have in your deck. And uh, as you can see right here, this Ghost Shroud, this is basically the Invis chip from Mega Man, and it makes it that way you automatically block or dodge most attacks for 6 seconds. And I actually have two copies here. That means it's most likely I'm going to see this more often than all the other cards here, since I only have a single copy of the other cards in my deck. Now, another thing when it comes to deck building is that you kind of want to have your deck streamlined in this game. So, because you can only have 3 cards that slide in during combat, you want to get the cards that you want to see more often. So that means you want to pack in less cards in your deck overall. But there's actually uh, there's some nuances with the cards here. So you see these cards here, this blue card, well, with the blue border. This is a regular Kilo class card. These are the most common cards that you'll find in the game, and they're pretty standard. And each deck has to have at least 3 different Kilo class cards in your deck at all times. You can't, otherwise the deck won't work. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind. Another thing uh, is that you have to have the card, like let's say for this green border card, this is a Mega class card. So in Mega Man Battle Network, Mega class cards are like Navi chips or like really powerful cards, and that's essentially what this is. And you can see the green icon here, the green border icon. That means you can equip the Mega class cards in this slot here. This is the amount of slots you have for the green cards. You can also equip them in this slot here, which is the Giga class cards. So for the Giga slot, you can equip red borders. Actually, any border card. It can be any border. But for the Mega class cards, it's only up to the green color. And the purple cards, they're pretty much the same as the green border, like the purple border. These are essentially like Navi chips. They're called assist cards. And assist cards, they summon either a Magi or an Aeon. They work just like Navi chips in the Mega Man and Star Force games, respectively. And yeah, the same rules for the copies apply. So if you want a specific character or a card to appear more often, then you put more copies into those slots. Of course, you have different decks too. When you're in this menu here, when you press the page up or page down or the shoulder buttons, it'll swap your deck, and each deck actually has different card slot uh, restrictions. And you unlock these decks throughout the course of the game. There's 4 in total. You start off with the combat deck, which is pretty standard, and then over the course of the game, you'll get more. And then the arcane deck is actually sort of an end game deck here, since there's so many Giga class slots. But yeah, so this is the basic rundown of the card deck selection screen. Oh, also white cards. The cards with the white border. These cards, here I'll show you. But basically, these cards, they're like they're almost like the wild, what's the, like the asterisk cards and like the Mega Man Battle games where you can select them with anything. Essentially, white cards allow you to select they don't have any restrictions when you use them in battle. They can be used instantly. Let me oh, that was actually a white card I selected. But yeah, you see right here, my mouse is on the bottom slot here. This is a white card. When I select it, pressing the down arrow button, it'll use the white card. Let me go ahead and get out of this battle. I'll just run away. I died, but yeah. So basically, white cards allow you to select them in battle for free, essentially. Let me swap to a different class. Easier to showcase. Yeah, so as you can see, white cards are always over the regular cards that come in. Like when a regular card slides in, a white card will always be above it. Yeah, like right here, a white card is right over the regular card. So when I select it, there's a regular card or a card with that's either has a blue, green, or red border around it, and they're essentially support cards. So yeah. So yeah, that's what white cards do, and white cards also come in different rarities too. I can show you this is a mega class white card, and you can tell because all the white cards have a black mark right here, a black icon right here. That knows that it's a white card. So yeah, and white cards are like, yeah, they're all support effects. They're like barriers, the Ghost Shroud, which is like invis, this is basically anti-damage, where if you were to take damage that would apply to your health, you don't take any damage at all. It prevents damage, and then you counter by throwing the shuriken at the enemy. So, yeah, this white card here speeds up your just the rate at your card scroll in from the side for a short period of time. Your cards, like the next hit from the card, crows forward, so it adds a status element. So yeah, there's a lot of strategy that's involved with these cards, and the white cards are, like I said, they're support. So whatever theme you have going on with your deck, that's white cards support that. So let's say for her, I'm the Galvix class here. This is basically the engineering class, and this class specializes in taking advantage of cards that have a gear icon, the Galvix cards. Whenever this class that I'm using uses one of these, a card with that has this icon and the attributes, it powers it up. It gets to use that card twice. That card gets to proc twice, essentially. So let me just make a deck right quick. I'm actually going to make a fire deck that utilizes the Galvix class that I'm currently using. So, like, let's say for this strategy, this here is the ignition bomb. This card is very powerful. What it does is that if you just use this card normally, just use it like just as is, uh, it does moderate damage. However, if the enemy you use this on is affected by the ignited status, this bomb will actually explode and it'll do uh, quintuple damage on all the enemies on the screen. So this is actually a very powerful card, but it requires a bit of setup. So let's go ahead and try to craft a deck around the ignition bomb card. So we have at least 2 ignition bombs, so that way we'll see it somewhat often. But let's see here. We have the Flame Buster. This is a Galvix card as well, and it actually adds the Ignite status. So we want this. So let's go ahead and add 2 of these, so that way we see these 2 cards pretty often. And we need a 3rd card. So since this deck, let's see, what should we use? Since this deck is kind of about AoE, let's go ahead and put Cross Slash in. This attacks all enemies, it's quick, it does a lot of damage, and it's actually, so now we have 3 different Kilo class cards in our deck. So we've hit that requirement, so now we can start adding some support cards to our deck to enhance the Ignition Bomb. So like right here, heat cards, plus 100% damage, so it's ×2 for 20 seconds. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take our Cross Slash. I'm going to put in Zen Avalo. This is a fire card. It's not a Galvix card, but it'll take advantage of the heat booster effect. So we have a fire themed deck here. So now let's actually put in 1 igniter. So just in case, we can one of our cards will always have the ignite status. This isn't necessary, but can't hurt. Let's put another heat booster in. Now we need some actually, I'll take this out. Now we need some defense to protect ourselves. So let's go ahead and add this this Greater Burmeros. This negates status elements, and there's a 30% chance for it to disappear on when you take damage, when you get hit. And when you use it, it recovers 20% of your mana, which is the gold bar you see in your health upon use when you actually use it. So mana is right here, this yellow bar. So let's we have a little bit of defense. Now let's add 1 more to be safe. The Herbal Shuriken. This is basically anti-damage. Can't go wrong with this right here. And now let's add 1 more card that's a fire card, just for a little more firepower. Just in case we don't have our setup, just will do good damage. So right here, you have a pretty solid and streamlined that has a solid theme by taking advantage of the Ignition Bomb. We have an igniter, we have a heat booster, we have a little bit of defense here, and yeah. So let's go ahead and see how it performs. All right, so we got some defense right off the bat. Now let's go ahead and try to ignite an enemy. So that's what the bomb does normally. It just randomly explodes on an enemy. Not too crazy, but when we hit an enemy that's ignited, you get that huge explosion, which you just saw there. And of course, I didn't really get a high rank, but it is what it is. So that's essentially just the bare bones of the uh, the deck building scene. Now I actually have another scene, which is like a Navi customizer thing, but I'll go over this in another devlog. But this is essentially the Navi customizer of the game, and but just a real quick explanation is that you can equip abilities and whatnot that boost Zola, the main character, and if you go over capacity, it changes this the colors of the border here that you see here, and how far over you go over the capacity affects the her stats. So if you're a little bit over capacity, like you see here, it's in the red. Her defenses are lowered by I think like 30-40%, but her attack stats are increased by 30-40%. So there's a trade-off there, and depending on how far you go over the limit, determines the increase. And if you're exactly double over capacity, you have a unique effect where it's like 60% boost in attack power and 6%, and it lowers your defensive stats by 60%. And if you go negative, it boosts your defensive stats instead. So that's just a tiny quick rundown. It's sort of incomplete. There's a few things I have to tweak here and there, but when it's done, I'll go ahead and showcase this another time. That's just the basics. But so yeah, this is what I have for the deck building sim. I'm really happy with how this turned out, and yeah. So more breakdowns coming, and yeah, guys, thank you for checking out my devlog. Until next time.